Hello everybody, now welcome to my online lesson. Now we are going to focus on chapter number 8, Evaluating Arguments and Truth Claims. So far we understand very clearly what the arguments is and also what the premises are. We also need to break the argument into different pieces and see what is inside and answer to see the relationship. Now we are going to evaluate. Then let's see when somebody gives you something like a claim, see how much you should believe in this. In everyday life, you listen to a claim from a neighbor, how much you should believe in this. Truth claim. You often watch your TikToks, right? Facebook, Instagram. And you have tips. How much do you believe in those tips? Your friend comes to you and say, I'll give you a tip. To pass the final exam, you need to do this and this and this. How much do you believe in that person? Then in the lesson today, we are going to analyze those things. Now we focus on just two things. Number one, good arguments. We are going to see what a good argument means and also what a good argument does not mean. And we focus on some of the guidelines for evaluating arguments. And then we focus on premises. We see when we should accept a premise. On which grounds, on which reasons should we accept a premise, and when is it reasonable to accept a premise? And again, we go to refute a premise. What does it mean when we refute a premise, and how can we refute a premise? We also focus on the idea of critical premise and also selective targeting. Now let's focus on the first one. We focus on what a good argument does not mean. In reality, I know that this is the common sense. We have groups at school, at work, in the office, in our life, in the community. And we have the groups of people sharing the common interest. Example, the group of people who love football, who love shopping. Let's say the group of teens and they love fast fashion. They would love to buy the trendy clothes, spending lots of money on trendy clothes, using them for just a short time, and then just throw them away or just sell them for other people or just give them to other people. Some people may say that's a waste of time, that's a waste of money. The people in the group say, no, that's not a waste of money, it's life. We have money, and then when we do that, we create jobs for other people. That's life. We have to enjoy it. We feel happy when we do that. And other people in the group just agree. That it's like, you say that this is a good argument just because it agrees with your view. But remember, good argument does not mean agrees with my view. Right? You have to base on the logic, the reasons. It doesn't mean that an argument is not similar to your view is a bad argument. For example, you want to send your kids to international school. For those who say that, Vietnamese schools are better, and they don't agree sending kids to international schools, and you say those arguments are bad just because they do not agree with your view. They try to avoid this kind of mindset, the mindset of having monopoly on the truth. It doesn't mean that we are the only person to hold the truth. The truth should be for everybody who has grounds or reasons. It doesn't mean that it's just you who are right and other people must be wrong or something. And also, a good argument does not mean persuasive argument. We focus on logic. It doesn't mean that, people just agree with you, then you have good argument. Sometimes people agree just because they are scared. Just because, relationships, to save the face as a sign of respect. Right? And also, good argument does not mean well-written or well-spoken argument. Think about the IELTS, writing. You have learned IELTS already, right? Now the IELTS, you have 4 paragraphs. And also, I can see the topic sentences in the body paragraphs. Does it mean that it's a good essay? Maybe not. Wow, the essay is it has beautiful handwriting. So lovely, so beautiful. But does it mean that it's a good essay? No. So to be a good essay, we have to focus on the introduction and see what is inside the introduction. Does the writer include the general statement, the paraphrase of the topic, and also the thesis statement? In the thesis, does the person give the point of view as well? And also tells what he's going to write in the next part, in the next paragraph. For the body paragraphs, does the writer include the topic sentence and also relevant supporting? Then we have to focus more on the content. Is it right? Not just the format. The same thing with the word well-spoken. When a person speaks a lot, when a person has wonderful pronunciation, does it mean that he has a good, response? Maybe not. Right? So good argument, in fact, according to I say, what we have learned, it should be either deductively sound or inductively cogent. We have learned already, is it right? Review chapter number 3 that you can see. A good argument should have the conditions. The premises are true, and the premises provide good reasons to accept the conclusion. If the premises are true, the conclusion must be true, then this is deductively valid. Remember? If the premises are true, the conclusion is properly true, then that's inductively strong. Right? Now the arguments are valid and the premises are true as well. That's the perfect case. That is deductively sound. Now when the argument is inductively strong and it has true premises, then we say inductively cogent. Just to review some basic. This is what we learned before the midterm, right? However, many people say that this is not enough. This definition is not fully adequate. Why is that? Have a look at this case. This is the letter that a school writes to the parents. Have a look at this. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Boosley, this letter is to inform you that your son, Bingham Boosley, has been expelled from Wexford College. I deemed this action to be necessary for the following reasons. 1. Paris is the capital of France. 2. The capital of France is Paris. 3. Bingham deserved to be expelled. Number 4, Binger earned F's in all his classes and was continuously drunk from the first day of classes to the last day of the final exams. Number 5, any student who earns F's in all his classes and is continuously drunk from the first day of classes to the last day of final exams deserves to be expelled. And number 6, therefore, Binger deserved to be expelled. We have enough premises, reasons to get to the conclusion, right? But what's wrong with this argument? We have enough evidence already. We have sufficient evidence to go to the conclusion already. Then what's wrong with this argument? Number 1, it's not relevant, right? Paris is the capital of France. What is it here? It has nothing to do with the conclusion. Number 2, it's just, the repetition is just, same thing like number 1. Number 3 is just the repetition of number 6, the conclusion. This is the fallacy of making the question. The conclusion is a premise and the premise is a conclusion. Then in order to make this argument strong, we need to remove statements number 1, 2, 3. Right? Then you can see, we have to check and see whether we have any unnecessary or irrelevant statements on it to make it a good argument. Now, what about in the critical thinking point of view? An argument that satisfies the relevant critical thinking standards. It should be a good argument. Then what are the standards? Remember, come back again to the lesson before the midterm. Think about the questions for the standards. The 8 standards, remember? So you can just review the lesson. Now let's go to accepting a premise. Have a look at this. You are given, 4 claims. Women are smarter than men. Men gossip more than women. Women are better leaders than men. And men are more creative than women. Which one do you agree with? Spend a minute or two. What do you think? 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess the men in this class do not agree with number 2. But some females agree. Men gossip more than women. Có nhiều ông cũng tám dữ lắm đó. Hơn mấy bà nữa. But the question is, when should we accept one of these claims? And why as well? When you don't have evidence, then it's like unsupported claim. And when, how can we accept this? And you often have this. Maybe a neighbor just, passing by your house from the market tells you something. Agree? Maybe a friend from high school just, visited you last week and then told you about investment in the stock market. Believe in him? Think about that. You cannot swim, you go to the countryside. And your uncle, your cousin says, let the dragonfly bite your tummy and you can swim. Chuồn cánh rúng biết bơi. Believe? in the car seat? Okay. Then we have to base on, we see whether the claim conflicts with the personal experiences or not. Yeah. In your experience, your knowledge, you have learned and you have seen with your naked eyes, an elephant has 4 legs. But a friend who just came back from a trip to Thailand told you that, I went to Thailand and it was interesting. I saw many elephants. They had 3 legs. You don't believe in it because it conflicts with your personal experiences. Yeah. And in fact, we have to just check, double check, and see whether our experiences are reliable or not. But the experiences count when it comes to whether you agree or disagree, whether you believe or not, right? And also think whether it conflicts with your background beliefs as well. Religion, community belief. You come from an area that people believe in this. You come from just maybe a part of Vietnam where people believe in gods, các vị thần. Think about this as well. And also see whether the claim comes from a credible source or not, reliable source. When the claim comes from something like, a blog, that's the place where people often share opinions and see whether it's reliable. When it comes from YouTube, it comes from TikTok, check. Maybe people did that just on the purpose of getting money. Is it right? Be careful. So this reminds you about maybe in the future you are going to do thesis, you do research, and you have to read articles to have background for your study. Where do you get the background from? You read the articles. Some people just get it from websites or even blogs. See whether they are reliable or not. Some people can be better to get from something like proceedings. Okay, but proceeding is less reliable than journals, articles, because proceeding comes from international conferences, and conference is just a place for people to. Most people just come there to share the ideas. I know some people just share what they have done, but people can just share the ideas. It's not the complete article. And think about the source, right? Have a look at this. Let's take Phương Vi for an example. Phương Vi comes to visit her boyfriend's family, and then she sees a very big dog like this, looks fierce. The boyfriend comes close to Phương Vi, gently taps on her shoulder. Don't worry, baby. My dog is as gentle as a kitten. Got it? Phương Vi, will you believe in him? In your boyfriend? Em đừng có lo. Chó nhà anh nó hiền lắm, nó hiền như mèo. And the boyfriend even tells Phương Vi to go and touch the dog. Will you dare to do it? Based on your experience, you have to see whether the guy is telling the truth or not. Right? But maybe we just check if Phương Vi goes with a group of friends, right? And some friends come close to the dog and can touch the dog, and the dog smiles. It means your background experience, your personal experience, can be incomplete. Always give yourself a second thought before you decide to believe or not to believe. Right? Now let's have a look at this. So this time we go to another one. Phương Vi already. Now let's go to Tường Vân. Okay. Tường Vân loves presents. Yeah. And then her parents tell her, be a nice girl, go to bed early, and Santa will give you presents. Tường Vân is now 18 years old. She doesn't believe in Santa anymore. Then she knows for sure this is not true. Right? But for a kid, it is true. Think about religion as well. Think about the background as well. But I guess if Tường Vân's boyfriend says this, she will believe in it because it gives her presents. Think about the beliefs. Yeah. Then the critical thinkers think very carefully about the beliefs. Never believe in something without sufficient evidence. Evidence is very important for your belief. Yeah. Then let's see, we have here the 5 claims. See how much you can believe in this. Your astrological sign determines some of your basic personality. The biblical story of Noah's Ark is literally true. The Loch Ness monster really exists. After people die, their souls are reincarnated in other human bodies. And extraterrestrials have visited the Earth in some form. So let's say you haven't searched the internet, just read and see how much you can believe. Then you can see we have to base on our background knowledge, background experience, or beliefs. Right? Yeah. So remember, in order to whether we just accept a premise, we have to also see whether it comes from a credible source as well. Think about whether the source is a genuine expert or authority. Does the source speak of in his or her area of expertise? Think about this. You believe in a person, but is that person the appropriate authority? You just believe in the word of a barber talking about astrology. Think about the level of belief. Right? Then before you come to the conclusion on something, think about the premises. Are they true or not? And do they give good reasons to accept a conclusion? Also, think about the projects you are going to do. Think about the source of the information as well, whether it's reliable or not. Think about this. Now let's go to refuting a premise. To refute, it means to defeat. Somebody gives you an argument and you don't want to take it. Then you just want to prove that that person is wrong. Then you are going to try to refute that argument. There are 2 ways for you to do it. Number 1, you try to show that a premise, or maybe a group of premises, I say a group of critical premises, is false. When the argument is built on the false, the false premise. It means it's not the facts, it's the false facts. We cannot bring that to the conclusion. Or number 2, the whole reasoning is bad. It doesn't provide adequate logical support to the conclusion. Maybe it's just something like inductive argument. It's just a possibility. You just prove that there are different possibilities, there are different ways to do, there are different possibilities as well. And the conclusion is not the only one, it's just one of the possibilities. That's the way for you to prove that and to just refute the argument. Have a look at this example. All presidents live in the White House. Paris Hilton is the president. So Paris Hilton lives in the White House. 3-line syllogism. How can we defeat this? Sounds very logical, right? How can? So you analyze premise number 1 and number 2, and you say, oh, Paris Hilton. I haven't heard of any presidents named Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton is a film star, not a political figure, not a president. Then if you can prove that number 2 is wrong, it means the argument fails to provide sufficient evidence. The argument is not valid when you can prove that number 2 is wrong. Yeah. What about this one? Children who have unsupervised access to the internet may be exposed to pornographic and violent images. Logical. Some sexual predators use the internet to fight and communicate with children. Agree? Children have no ability to use a keyboard or mouse correctly. So children should not be allowed unsupervised access to the internet. What do you think? This argument sounds logical. However, number 3 is irrelevant. Right? Then if you want to defeat this argument, you have to defeat argument number 1 or statements number 1 and number 2. Then, in fact, this one is a good argument. We just remove number 3. It needs standardization. Yeah. If you want to refute this argument, try to refute premise number 1 or number 2. Now this example, all circles are squares, all squares are rectangles, all rectangles are geometrical figures, then so all squares are geometrical figures. Similar, number 1 is false, but the conclusion follows necessarily from number 2 and number 3. To make this a good argument, just remove number 1. Right? What about this one? I ran 5 miles on Saturday. I ran 10 miles on Sunday. So I ran 15 miles this weekend. This is what Nhân Hậu says. Nhân Hậu wants to prove that he's so strong and healthy, fit. I ran 15 miles this weekend. Tuần này tôi chạy 15 dặm lần đó. Sounds very logical. 10 plus 5 plus 15. To defeat this, how can? I try to find out the truth. I talked to Tuyết Anh. And surprisingly, Tuyết Anh is the close friend, the best friend of Nhân Hậu. Tuyết Anh tells me a secret. She goes running with Nhân Hậu every weekend. And this weekend, she also ran jogging with Nhân Hậu. On Saturday, They ran 5 miles together. On Sunday, Tuyết Anh was tired. Then she rode a bike. Nhân Hậu ran. But the thing is, he ran just 1 mile and then he got tired. His legs were aching. Then, Tuyết Anh took him on the back of her bike. And now he says he ran 10 miles. So in fact, he ran just 1 mile. And the other 9 miles, Tuyết Anh, took him on her bike. So you can see, if you can just bring these facts, you can just defeat the argument. Nhân Hậu, I'm joking, okay? So in fact, you and Tuyết Anh ran 15 miles. I just want to give the example that if you want to defeat this, you have to find out the fact to defeat a premise. And in this case, premise number 1, number 2 can be the critical premise, because if we just break the reliability of one of these premises, we can just just refute or defeat the argument. We can just make the conclusion become unreliable. Right? So you have the idea of the word critical premise, the premise that brings essential support to the conclusion. Now let's go to one more example. Bob who was drunk at the time and doesn't see very well, claims he saw Buster rob the bank. Bank surveillance tips show Buster in the act of robbing the bank, so Buster robbed the bank. Which argument do you have to focus on in order to attack? If you focus on the first premise, number 1, number 1, even when it is true, it doesn't make a difference. Number 2 should be the target. Because if you can find out the fact for number 2, you can defeat number 2, you can just defeat this argument. This argument, number 1 is not a credible source, and it follows, the argument follows necessarily from premise number 2. Then think about how you should, defeat an argument. Again, in the project, you read the topic and you support. Then you think about, you read the arguments, you search for the arguments that argue against that argument. And you have to find out the weaknesses in those arguments in order to defeat them. Have a look at this case. Let's take Tuyết My for an example. Tuyết My came to me and she was very sad. She said her boyfriend said goodbye to her. I said, why? Somebody else gave the boyfriend a photo, and in the photo, Tuyết My was hand in hand with another guy on the beach. Red hair, strong, tall, with nose studs and ear studs. The evidence is so true, so clear, that we cannot blame the boyfriend. But Tuyết Anh tells me that, Tuyết My told me that she was not there. It was a setup. It was just, she didn't know how, but it was the photo, and she didn't go to the beach. So how can we just help Tuyết My? And if you can just talk to some photography experts, design experts, And if they can find out that, they can prove that this picture is just the product of Photoshop. Okay, that's the only way to help with me. But with me, if the photo shows that, yeah, you were hand in hand with two guys, it could be harder. I'm joking. But in fact, it's the way for you to refute an argument. And the way you focus, you decide on which premise to attack. We call that one selective targeting. It means we select the target in order to attack. In this case, number 1 and number 2, we don't attack number 1 because it doesn't make a difference. Then we try to attack number 2 because number 2 leads people to the conclusion. And if we just attack number 2, we can just refute the whole argument. Yeah, I guess that's enough. So there are still many, examples, exercises for you to do, to read in the book. Try to spend time reading all those things in order to get more information. We don't have the quiz for chapter number 8. So next time we are going to focus on a very important chapter, that's chapter number 11. And we focus on how to strengthen our argument, our conclusion. And I guess this is very important for you for the final, for your thesis in the future. You do research, you have the findings, but are you sure that the findings bring people to the conclusion? How certain, are you for the conclusion? Then we have to conclude in the way that we can be less likely to be attacked. So let's wait for the lesson next week. I can see it's time, so we are going to stop here. If you have any questions, just contact me. Goodbye and thank you everybody.